So today I'm going to be making a C table. You know, if you don't know what that is, and there might be another name for it, but it's shaped like a C, and it's designed to have the edge slide underneath your couch, and then you have a nice little armrest area that you can use. I'm going to make my own version of it. I got a couple little ideas. I was going to follow suit with somebody I saw on YouTube that used pine 2x2s, and I went to go buy those 2x2s, and they were $10 a piece. And I plan on making 3 of these tables, and I needed like 21 of them. So I want to be able to reproduce this kind of cheap. It wasn't my first choice, but I decided to go with the Select Pine 1x12. This is an 8-foot board. That's going to be the bulk, the primary part of this table. I have some, quote, add-ons, some other little things I'm going to be doing to it. But I'm going to start from there. So that's where I'm getting started at today. I've already pre-measured the height of it. Is going to be 32 inches. I played around with heights, and I think 32 seems pretty ideal. I'm going off of my couch. Hopefully your couches at home are similar. If you're going to build one, maybe just measure yourself and figure out where you want it. My base piece that's going to go underneath, I'm going to make that 2 foot long. And then my top piece, I'm planning on making 16 inches long. And I'm doing that on purpose because I don't want this to be one. I want it to just go over the edge just a little bit of your armrest. I don't want this to be where if you're sitting in the middle of the couch, it's coming across you. I don't want to go all the way across your lap as you're sitting on the couch. So that's what's on my mind. So I'm going to go ahead and make my cuts. This is where I'm going to be working on one of the details that in the past I would probably not do, but I'm really trying to expand myself. And so the corners of this table, I want to 45 them together. I don't want to just pop some staples or nails into it and have one straight piece and then another straight piece. So I've got my circular saw and I've set the rail at 45 degrees. Had it unplugged, placed it up here on my board, all the way up to it, and to cut my 45 and to get right here at the edge of where I'm at, so this is where my marker would be. So I got my square and I put my line on there. Then I took this circular saw again, placed it up there one more time, used my pencil. This is what you use as a marker on this circular saw. It doesn't have an arrow necessarily, it's this little corner here. So anyways, I marked right where this ledge is at, put my square up there, and got it. I have a second line. Now this is going to be the bottom side of my board, so yeah, I penciled on the wood, but it'll be okay, and I am going to stand it, put my rail back up. So now I'm going to very simply do that cut. It has taken me a couple minutes just to get set up. I didn't do that on camera because it's just a lot of thinking and, you know, putting a pencil mark down. And yeah, I'm gonna have to do that a couple times. Like, this is where these projects start to take more time if you're putting more effort into them. So just to show you guys here, we have a pretty nice edge going on. That was a pretty good cut. I think that'll work. So I'm gonna do that a couple more times. Okay guys, so I always try to show you guys and explain things and, like, you know, be as truthful and learn and grow from this stuff as I can. So I used that circular saw, and I'm holding this up here right now really close, and I'm standing behind it to look in the camera, make sure I'm getting it. Can you see how it was really close there, and then it starts to get wider over here? And I know I time-lapsed it, so you might have missed it, but I went over on one of these boards particularly because I noticed it doing that like 5 times. And I believe, my understanding is the reason is because this guard gets in the way and hangs things up. And it's already an awkward angle doing this, holding it, you know, like such. I really don't want to get in the practice of trying to do all that and pull this guard up. And I was hoping it'd be okay. Well, when I went to join my first corner, which this is the bottom foot piece. This is the side. I was just holding them up together to look, and I don't know if I can do this while standing up here, but it's just not sitting right together. Like there's a bow in the middle. So I've taken my bench saw that I have. It's a very, very old one. And it actually does, you can change the angle of the blade on it. Not crazy about using it for something like this, but I'm going to use it and see if I can get a little bit of a straighter edge, which actually, if that works out, it will actually be a little faster, I believe, in the end for my other two. So that's what we're going to do now. So using the bench saw worked better than the circular saw, but it still didn't give me a perfect cut for a few reasons. One being is the setup I have with this rolling workstation. I couldn't set my board to the right side, which is where the rail would be, and it doesn't have an extendable rail to begin with, so I had to eyeball the cut and not have a straight edge to go along. As you see right here, the other is that when I'd get about halfway through, the piece being cut off would get caught by the back side of the saw, and so I would have to stop, break that off, and continue. Alright, so that did help for sure. I am still dealing with some knots and whatnot that are making this a little bit more difficult than I had kind of expected, to be honest. But the first thing I wanted to do is at least get one side of this, the feet, or the bottom side, glued together and secured together. I don't have any like corner clamps. It'd be really nice if I did. I'm just going to use this 2x4 and set it in here to try and help me have a good, nice corner. But anyways, I guess enough talking. Let's just do it, right? Really not too bad. Just maybe slightly out a tiny, tiny bit. Yeah, we're going to leave that one alone. Alright. Next, going to do a couple things with this, which is going to be my surface. It's going to go up here. I got a couple ideas for it. So let's go ahead and start out. One is I just want to plunge a little pocket here. So change or whatever you'd have as you set it on the table has a place to sit without falling off the edge. The other is I'm going to use this plunger outer with a straight cutting tool and go all the way through is the plan to make this little L that goes in and then to the left. Keep it very simple. That's going to be for wine glasses or whatever, stemmed glasses. So that's the plan. So let's get going. On this first table, I used the router to cut out the stem holder. But if you've ever used a router to make a cut like this, you know that occasionally it can run on you with the circular motion and it's kind of hard to control. So on the next two, I ended up using a jigsaw, and I felt for me that worked out a lot better. As far as cutting out the little indentation area, that went fairly smooth. But again, on my second two, I learned to cut the space in half, so I always had a flat surface that the platform sat on. Otherwise, there's a couple spots where there were notches at the base of this indentation area. A decent belt sander should be able to take care of that. Next began a fiasco with stain. I started with an old container of stain I had that, as you can see here, just was not panning out. I don't know if it just went bad or what. Then I went to one I've never used that's also older called Black Cherry. Now the color on the can looks great, but as I applied this stain, I was hating it. Alright guys, so it's been probably a week and a half since I've worked on this at all. I've been very, very busy. I stained it last. I had most of the main body built. I do have some interior stuff to do still. But let me address, first of all, I hate this stain. This is not what it's supposed to look like. This is not what the bottle looked like. This is not what the can looked like. I despise this. I'm not going to leave it. So we're going to do something that I'm not a huge fan of. We're going to paint this. But before we do that, we need to make some cuts. I've purchased these outlet boxes off Amazon. They just plug in. It's a 10-foot cord, and of course I can screw it in. So what I got going on is I have a 1x6, and I have a couple of 1x4s, and we're going to build a nice little frame. We're going to do the 1x6 is tall. The 1x4 is on the sides. It's just going to be boxed in, and the 1x4s are not going to go all the way to the bottom. They're going to be about 2 or 3 inches shorter than the 1x6. That way, this cord, you can pull it out either direction, plug it in, and you got an outlet right here on this nice little table. I think that's going to be a fun little addition. The outlets, of course, have 3-prong outlets grounded. It is grounded here, and you also have USB. So it's one of the fun little additions that I want to make with this. So anyways, I need to make some cuts. 30 1/4 inches. So I'm going to do 28 inches on the 1x4. Now the next thing I need to make happen is I want to create a hole here so that my outlet box can be mounted. I don't want it to be all the way to the top, so I'm leaving myself, I'm not making this exact because it's not going off of anything, but let's make it a nice rounded number. 4 inches down. Alright, we're centered. Let's drill some holes in the 4 corners, well, at least one corner. There's a tiny bit of overcut, but not bad. And once we put paint on this and apply it, I think it's going to be pretty nice. And it is going to be underneath the shelf, so. That should help hold that in place. We'll go from there. Cool little pointer I've learned from YouTube, from other people, is to use baby wipes to clean up glue that has seeped out. So I'm making a couple pencil marks to make sure that this is centered, guys. Of course, this is a 1x6 and this is a 1x12, so that makes it fairly easy. 5.5 inches the actual width of this, 11 inches the actual width of this. And so I'm gonna put that right in the middle. So now I got to divide 5.5. So we have 2 3/4 inches. So I've marked 2 3/4 inches on either side, top and bottom. I'll know where to place this, and it's gonna be snug. I've got a rubber mallet. I'm gonna gently tap her in. And of course I can't see my marks. I need some light. So come back this way a little. That's on. That one needs to come over. So I think I've missed on 2 of the 10 I've done. I'm utilizing where I know this one right here is good. So I'm coming straight down back here. Same thing over here. I know this one's good. I actually see the exact grain line. Alright, so I'm just not feeling great about the overall quality feel, the finishing feel of this, even though I haven't painted it yet. It doesn't feel like furniture. It feels like wood, like a piece of wood. I hope that doesn't sound stupid, but we're going to try routing the top surface of this table and see if that helps us out a little bit.
You guys are watching me do something really stupid here, and I debated taking this out of the video. But I want you to learn from me, and I don't want to be a bad example for you. I'm routing this, and I'm not wearing safety glasses. In fact, on that back side, I have staples securing this table together. And as I got closer to it, I even start thinking about those staples. And I'm watching, And in my head, I'm doing something by being aware of them. But I proceed and keep routing without wearing safety glasses. I've had things hit me in the eyes lots of times. Pieces of sawdust, plaster, all kinds of stuff. But I felt myself get hit in the eye, and I knew that it had to be a piece of metal. And you can actually hear it. It happened right there. I finished up what I was doing here, went inside the house and flushed my eyes really good with contact solution. Actually found that piece of metal and got it out. It was near my eye duct and went to the eye doctor. Fortunately, I just had some minor scratches on the whites of my eyes. Nothing on the cornea, nothing in the eye itself. My vision wasn't affected. There's only minor scratches, no treatment needed. Everything's fine, luckily. So don't be like me.
So I just want to get in here close and show you guys that I do think this made a bit of a difference. I've shown you so many times routing edges. Feels a little bit less like just a piece of wood, a little bit more like a piece of furniture. Of course, it's still got that hideous color. We're about to paint it. Hopefully that helps out as well.
Now I painted this first C table with some Rust-Oleum milk paint that I had left over from another piece of furniture job. And then I put in the outlet box that I've talked about that I ordered off Amazon and started the process over a few days later for my final two tables. I made both of these pretty much at the same time. I cut the pieces of wood to length I needed. I used that bench saw to cut the 45-degree angles. Used the router before I put anything together to route the edges. Also routed out that center piece I was talking about before. And I used a jigsaw to cut the stem parts for the wine glass holder, if you will. Next, I used a palm sander on the whole thing, smoothed out the top surface, smoothed the edges, and moved on to putting it together. Now, I don't know why with the first one I felt like I needed to glue it and then walk away and leave it for a couple days. But on these two, I used the glue and then my brad nailer and secured everything and built it pretty much all in one sitting. At this point, I had actually tripped my surge protector and didn't realize it. I thought my air compressor had broken and I couldn't figure it out, so I used some screws to put that bottom piece on this piece. However, I pretty quickly realized it was not a problem with the air compressor and that I just tripped that surge protector. So then, of course, I moved on and used the brad nailer again. I also, on my next two, found it easier to build the box and then cut out my pieces for that outlet, rather than cut the board before I've ever secured it together. And then the next learning I took from all of this was that if I used the brad nailer and secured the bottom of this and the back all the way up, I didn't need to put any brad nails on the top of it, which kept it looking a lot more professional and neat. And of course, I wanted to use two different stains. I didn't want any of these to be the same looking. So I applied that with a foam brush, and then the next night off camera, used some polyurethane to protect them.
Okay guys, so I will show you the final product, but I'm going to leave these stains sit for a little bit, let them dry, come back to it, protect it with some polyurethane that I have, some new polyurethane. This was cognac. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's a darker color, but we'll let it dry and go with it. Definitely better than that black cherry was. That was hideous. That's some golden oak Minwax. In fact, I need to even out a spot I can see on camera a little better than I see in reality. There's a dark spot there, dark spot right there. I don't want to let dry. But anyways, I feel like these are okay if I'm just making one, and as I've learned and practiced, I mean, the first one was a little rough. I made these two today in one day. The first one took me a few days and lots of different steps. So it is what it is. It's like anything. You practice, you learn, you get better. But that's where they're looking right now. We'll see what the final product ends up looking like. I'll be back. So I'm pretty happy with these guys.
We got 3 of them. They're all 3 gifts. I'm about to put a wine glass, or try that out, see if these grooves work. Of course, we have our little indented area for, I envision that for like change or whatever else you're going to put up there on top, maybe just your remote so it doesn't fall away. I really like these outlets that just plug in. It's not hardwired, it's a sealed in, closed in box, so all I gotta do is plug that into the wall. It's a 10-foot cord, and then the USB outlets on it, so I think that's going to be beneficial. Pretty excited about that. I've already decided we're going to make one of these for ourselves. Raylan likes it. Don't you, Ray? You want one of these for us for home, don't you? Yeah. And so we'll make one more. Maybe it'll be a little better, a little more practice. Each of these went a little quicker than the previous, just like everything. First time evolution, second, and then the third. I got a little better with each one. But yeah, I would like to take this moment while I'm showing you a close-up of the product that I did struggle a little bit with some warp to these boards. Even though they were premium cut pine, I still had a little bit of warp to them, and that created challenges with connecting my joints. Alright guys, so this is what it looks like sitting on our couch. This is our only stemmed glass we have in this house, but it worked out pretty nicely. It doesn't sit very well if you go here because of this particular stem and the height and the thickness of it. Then it kind of wants to tilt. It does sit on that side alright, but I did find it sit pretty good there. Of course, you got your catch-all area, and our outlet would be right about armrest height. I figured if you got one of these, you could put some of those little gummy stickies, those little sticky things on here that hold like a phone charger. So you could like stick it maybe on the back side and have your phone plugged in and have the charger right there, right on the edge of it. So pretty happy with how they turned out. Let's see what we do next. Like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys next time.